If the planet had a thermostat, its name would be the Gulf Stream. It's a powerful ocean current that carries huge volumes of warm water from the tropics to the North Atlantic Ocean like a giant underwater river. But what if this thermostat began to slow down, poking to the curb like an old car ready to run out of steam? The slowing Gulf Stream is not just another conundrum for nature lovers. It is a potential threat that could radically alter our global climate and affect the lives of all of us. Can you imagine what would happen if Northern Europe lost its heat shield that the Gulf Stream currently provides? It would be as if someone suddenly turned off the heating in your car on the coldest winter day. But why should we all care about slowing down some ocean current? After all, most of us live far from the ocean. Let's remember that the Gulf Stream affects more than just the temperature of the water in the Atlantic Ocean. It affects the world's climate, determines the weather patterns we see every day, and even affects the foods we see on our grocery store shelves. The Gulf Stream plays a key role in the Earth's climate system, so any changes in its operation could have global consequences. Still, how might the slowing of this critical ocean current change our world, and what can we do to deal with it? Let's imagine the Gulf Stream as an invisible river that flows beneath the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. But unlike a regular river, this underwater river is made up of salty seawater and is about 56 miles, 90 kilometers, wide, which is roughly the distance from New York City to Philadelphia. Can you imagine? It's as if all of Manhattan were a river flowing straight to Philadelphia. And it's not just a river, it's a fast-flowing current that can move up to 35 billion cubic feet, 100 million cubic meters, of water per second, which is 300 times the combined flow of all the rivers in the world. It's as if the Mississippi, the Colorado, the Rio Grande, and all the other rivers in the United States, and all the rivers in the world, merged into one huge current. That's exactly what the Gulf Stream is. But the Gulf Stream doesn't just move water from one place to another. It plays a key role in regulating global climate, moving heat from the tropics to the poles and helping to maintain relatively stable temperatures around the world. If an analogy could be made, the Gulf Stream would be like a conveyor belt in the global climate factory, moving heat from the furnace, the tropics, to the workplaces, the poles. The Gulf Stream's influence is not only felt in the seas and oceans, its warm waters influence air masses, which in turn affect weather and climate in different regions of the world. For example, northwestern Europe receives much more heat from the Gulf Stream than it would without it. This makes the climate in those regions much milder and wetter than would be expected at those latitudes. It's like having a built-in heater in your home that keeps it at a comfortable temperature even when it's cold outside. In short, the Gulf Stream is not just a sea current. It is one of our planet's most important structures, which plays a key role in regulating our climate and enabling life as we know it. This is why the slowing of the Gulf Stream is so alarming to scientists and researchers. Benjamin Franklin was one of the first to make a detailed map of the Gulf Stream in the 1770s. He noticed that ships traveling from Europe to America often did so much faster than ships sailing in the opposite direction, and concluded that this was due to the strong current we now know as the Gulf Stream. This was the beginning of a long journey of research into this powerful current. Today, scientists use satellites, underwater robots, and sophisticated computer models to study this current. But one of the most alarming discoveries in recent years is the slowing of the Gulf Stream, which was first noticed in 2010. According to a number of scientific studies, the Gulf Stream is slowing down at a level not seen in at least 1,000 years. Studies have shown that the slowing of the Gulf Stream may be linked to global warming caused by human activity, and this could have serious consequences for the global climate. A slowing Gulf Stream could change this balance, leading to dramatic changes in weather, rising sea levels, changes in precipitation, and colder winters and cooler summers. All of this will affect our entire planet. Recent studies show that the Gulf Stream is slowing down and shifting, as if it is trying to find a new path across the Atlantic Ocean. But why is this happening? One prime suspect is global warming. Increases in global climate temperature are causing ice in the Arctic to melt, bringing more fresh water into the Atlantic Ocean. This fresh water is less dense than the ocean's salt water, and it can dilute the salt water of the Gulf Stream, slowing its movement. All of these changes are of great concern to scientists because of the long-term implications for our global climate. A slowing or stopping of the Gulf Stream could lead to a significant drop in temperature in the North Atlantic Ocean and Northern Europe. It's as if the Northern Hemisphere's main heater were suddenly turned off. The result could be colder winters and less warm summers, which could affect everything from agriculture to environmental systems. At the same time, a slowing Gulf Stream could lead to faster sea level rise on the east coast of North America and northern Europe, as less warm water expands less than warmer water. It's like if you suddenly pour more water into your bathtub, the water level rises quickly. The Gulf Stream also plays an important role in maintaining various marine ecosystems, providing food and warmth for many species of marine life, from fish to birds. A slowing Gulf Stream could displace these ecosystems or even cause them to shrink, which could have serious consequences for fisheries and for people who depend on the ocean. What about predicting the future? This is always a challenge, especially when it comes to complex systems such as the oceans and global climate. However, there is agreement among scientists that a slowing Gulf Stream could lead to major changes in climate, especially in northern Europe. Some scientists even suggest that a slowing Gulf Stream could lead to a new ice age in the northern hemisphere. It's as if winter in Game of Thrones actually came. But how likely is this worst-case scenario? At the moment, scientists cannot give a definitive answer to this question. The likelihood of this scenario will depend on many factors, including how quickly we can reduce our carbon dioxide emissions and slow global warming. It's also worth noting that even if the Gulf Stream slows or stops, it won't necessarily lead to an immediate ice age. It could simply lead to colder and more unstable weather on the east coast of North America, in the tropics and the Arctic. Scientists around the world are working to collect data and develop models to better understand how the Gulf Stream affects global climate and what happens if it slows or stops. This includes everything from monitoring the Gulf Stream with satellites to sending underwater robots to study it from the inside out. At the same time, politicians and governments around the world recognize that we need to act to reduce our carbon emissions and slow global warming. This can include everything from increasing investment in renewable energy to encouraging more sustainable practices in agriculture and transportation. Finally, the public has an important role to play in this effort. We can all do our part to fight global warming and protect our planet, be it through changing our consumption habits. All in all, our future regarding the Gulf Stream and global climate is unknown. But one thing is certain, if we all work together, we can find solutions and meet these challenges. After all, our underwater conveyor belt may be slowing down, but our ability to adapt and innovate never stops.